Here's the main man now. He's after doing all this. He did all this damage, so he said he's going to fix it for me. I hope.
I hope so too.
I hope so too. We'll see. Good luck.
Here where I'm parked last night, there was a big, huge fireworks display. They have an international fireworks display 5 times a year here in Hanover, and it was absolutely amazing. It's been over a year since I recorded a vlog for the channel about the van. I'm going to give an update on the van and what I've been doing over the last year. We finished up our tour in Europe with my family July 23, and then we drove back home to Ireland. We spent 2 months back in Ireland, and then in September I drove the van to Europe again. The reason I was driving back over to Europe by myself, I was going on tour, so I was playing music and touring around Europe. So this is the reason I built the van in the first place, was to have it as a touring van and have somewhere that I could stay. Before we drove back to Ireland, we had this problem with the engine. So this was the warning light that I used to get, and then that would come on and off intermittently, and it would disappear sometimes when you turn on and off the engine. And about a few months ago, disappeared. So I'm hoping the two are connected and that it's something to do with the DFP, diesel particulate filter, DPF filter in the exhaust, because I know that does cause the van to go into limp mode when it's blocked. So I'm hoping the two are connected and that the Oleg can clean that up or whatever he does with it. I brought it to a mechanic in Ireland just before I left in September, at the end of September, and he replaced some pump. I'll show that to you now. Okay, so I'll just show you this pump. That is, see that there? This pump here has been replaced twice, once in Ireland and then the same pump blew again in Wuppertal. He replaced that pump, and then I drove towards the ferry. The exact same thing happened. The warning light appeared on the dashboard, and then the camper went into limp mode, and I had to crawl all the ways across France in the camper. And then when I'd pull in and turn off the engine, then sometimes it would disappear and I could keep driving as normal. But then at one point I was going up a hill somewhere in Germany, Wuppertal, near this place. I know I'm saying it completely wrong. The Germans will be laughing at me. And then I could smell something, and I heard this weird noise, and I knew straight away that it was that part that he'd replaced. So I pulled in, and it was that exact part was making a mad noise. There was a smell of burning off it. So I ended up having to stay in Wuppertal for 2 weeks, and I brought it to a VW garage, and they said, oh yeah, it's the problem is this pump again. And I was confused. How could it be this pump again? If because I knew it hadn't solved the original problem, and I was trying to explain this to them in the garage, but they went ahead, replaced that same pump. Then 2 weeks later, I drove out of there, and before I left, I said, "Are you sure now that this is going to sort it?" He said, "Yeah, it's perfect." I drove out of the garage. About half an hour later, the exact same problem. So I just kept going, and I drove to my first gig. It was close to Hanover, and then I brought it to a mechanic in Hanover. He ended up replacing 3 different parts. Confused he was as to what it was, and every time he'd replace it, he'd say, "Bring it for a drive and see how we get on, and fill up the tank with diesel and then bring it for a good drive." And I did all that, the exact same thing. Every time I take it back from the garage, the same warning light would come on and the van would go into limp mode. I rang him up after the 3rd time, and he said, "You'll have to leave the camper in overnight for a few days." And then I waited about 2 or 3 weeks before I was heading back home to Ireland, and I rang him So he answered and he said, hello. And I said, hi, this is the Irish guy with the yellow bus. And he hung up and he never answered the phone again. I've been over and back to Germany the whole year. And this time around I spent the last 10 days, I think 2 weeks maybe, here in Germany, touring all around. Last month I spent a whole month in Ireland, which was really nice because I got to spend some time with my family, and I got to spend some time with my 2-year-old son Reen, who's also trying to learn the guitar. I always thought the hardest part of touring was the travelling and the late nights and just the general stress, but now what it is actually just being away from my family, and yeah, that's the hardest part.
So I'm now currently in Bad Essen in Germany, and I am here in this beautiful location. So I played a house concert here last Friday. So it's now June of 2025, and all that footage that you've just watched so far has been from last year. I've been wanting to do this update about the van, but I've actually been to a number of mechanics since. So I brought it to a guy called Oleg, and he cleaned the DPF filter, and then I brought it to another mechanic and they also cleaned the DPF filter, and then I realized it actually wasn't the DPF filter. There's a problem with the head gasket. So as I've said, they've removed the engine and they've now sent the engine block to a different company to get it tested. So now I'm waiting on the other company to send back the engine block so then they can reassemble it. So the camper has now been in the workshop since the 23rd of May, and now it's the 18th of June, going on 4 weeks now. So in the meantime, I've had to find some places to stay. So I've been lucky enough to stay in a beautiful place. I played here last Friday at the start of June, and I was explaining about my camper, and they said, look, if you need any place to stay, just give us a shout. And this is where I stayed for the last 2 nights. Then I'll just show you. Then as you can see, it's amazing. There's a lovely shower in here, a walk-in shower. Then they have it's a really cool place. They also have a dog. His name's Theo, so I'll give you a look at him. He's really cool. He's like a Swiss mountain dog or something. And hey Theo, how are you? Who's the best boy? Huh? Theo. Theo, come here. Come here. Theo. Come here. Oh, he's not happy. This is where Theo lives. This cool place. This is where I've been staying for the last few days, and now today I have a gig in Oldenburg. I'm playing in the centre of Oldenburg in the market square, so it should be interesting. I'm currently in the mechanics workshop, and my camper has been here for about 2 weeks now. I'll show you now exactly what they've done. So there it is. There is my camper. There's the engine. Completely taken apart. Poor thing.
Ich will nicht ausprobieren.
Ja, okay. This is it. Let's see. There it is, look. So if you see, there's the engine block, and what they've done is they've removed the engine block, and they've sent the engine block off to another company to get it tested. And then they said that they tested this to make sure that it was level, it was even, and that there was no I suppose warping or something. He explained it to me anyway. They used this thing here, that yoke, to make sure that the engine block was level, I think, the surface. And then we got the head gasket. They think it's the head gasket. So he said that this hole here, to him, he said it looked as if it was the problem. So if it's the head gasket, it's not too bad. It's still bad, but it's repairable. But if it's the engine block, that they've sent off to get tested to make sure there's no leaks in it, well, then it's a different story. So that's it. Do you want to say something on the camera? Do you want to explain? Do you want to explain it on the camera now?
I don't understand.
Hold on. Here's the main man now. He's after doing all this. He did all this damage, so he said he's going to fix it for me. I hope.
I hope so too.
I hope so too. We'll see. Good luck. So I've had this problem for 3 years, and now I understand why every mechanic that I brought it to has been reluctant to do this, because number one, you need the space that this place has. It's absolutely huge. Look at the size of it. It works on like military vehicles. So this place. So they deal with huge, really big commercial vehicles, and they've got the space to actually leave it here and take out the engine for 2 weeks. So fingers crossed we can figure out what it is and get it sorted. And now I've got to hit the road because I'm flying home tonight. Just to give you a look at the size of the things that they actually work on in here. So they work on all these army trucks. They're absolutely huge. This type of stuff. And a big fire truck in there, see it? So that's it. Hopefully I'm in the right place and they can sort this out finally, once and for all. This last clip is me heading back home to Ireland after playing some shows in Germany, and I recorded this last year in 2024, but I'm going to leave it in here because it gives you an insight into what it's like to travel as a musician, and that's what I'm going to be doing from now on the channel. So I'm going to be giving you an insight into what it's like as a traveling musician, what it's really like on the road, and what I do and how do I do it. And if that's something that you'd like to see more of, please do subscribe to the channel. That means you can follow along then, and you can see what it's like on the road as a traveling musician. So let's crack on, back to the vlog. Here I am at Frankfurt main train station. Well, it's the bus station, but they're right beside each other. And it's now 8 AM in the morning, and I left Hanover at 4 AM. I haven't slept, so I'm quite tired, and now I've got to get this bus behind me to Frankfurt Hahn. It's leaving at 8:45, 45 minutes, and it will take we'll arrive at 10:55, I think. 10:55. So what's that? An hour and 15 minutes. Or no, I can't even think. I'm so tired. Anyway. Yeah, so I'm going to be on this bus for the next while, and then we will get to Frankfurt, Han, and we will get on the Ryanair flight, and we will fly home back to Kerry, back to the kingdom. So I've just spotted this need weed. Weed is now legalized in Germany, and there you go. Scan your QR code, and you probably get weed delivered to you wherever you are. That's it. So I've made it. It's now 11. Got to check that in. Check that on the flight. That costs €50 each way. It's expensive. I've got to actually find out if I can buy an extra seat for that. Because if you can buy an extra seat, if you can get the seat, sometimes you can get a seat for like €17. Well, then it's going to be cheaper. So I have to ask if that's possible with the amp. Because I've got 2 gigs this week in Ireland. I'm going to check this in, and then we're going to go through the security. So I'll tell you a funny story. The first time I was the first time I flew out of here, I was at the airport like 3 hours early, and then I went to the checkout, and the checkout was in the wrong airport. I was in Frankfurt, so I was. And I had to get a taxi. I had to pay €200. I had to pay €200 to go from Frankfurt main airport to here. And the taxi driver said that it happens about once a week. So drop this off there. Can I ask you a question? You know, when I can buy an extra seat for my guitar, you know, you can buy an extra seat on the plane.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's cheaper. Sometimes you can get a cheaper seat.
Hat ein Gitarre, so Musikinstrument.
Sie müssen einfach ein neues Ticket kaufen.
Yeah.
You can do that with your guitar.
You just buy a new ticket for the guitar.
Yeah, you buy another seat and then you bring it on the plane.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that possible with this? With my guitar?
I assume that the flight is already booked out.
No, I'm just saying for future, because it.
Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's classed as a musical instrument, so.
If it is, then it's no problem. It doesn't even matter really. You can just book an extra seat for anything. Really.
Okay. Oh, for anything.
Just for more space even.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thanks. I'll drop it off up above. Thank you. Thanks.
I'll be right with you.
All right. So we're going to drop this off at the oversized luggage. So that's great. I can actually now buy an extra seat on the plane for this. So they said you can buy an extra seat for anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's as long as it's not like a gun or something like that. So I'm going to next time I'm going to buy an extra. On the way back over, I'll see if I can get a cheaper seat if I can. I'll leave that there with you. I'll leave it there.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Bye. There we go. Okay, I'm now going to go through here. See you on the other side.